Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode number 194 of Ref the District here on the Bleav Network. I'm the Stoner. That's Trev right over there. As you know, Nathan is out this week and all of October as he prepares for his lead role on stage in his local theater, which I Bleav is in November is when the actual show goes live. So, shout out to Nathan as he continues to prepare for that role. As you know, we stream live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you're always stopping by. You hit that like button. Hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please be sure to leave a rating and review and subscribe to the podcast there. As a reminder, look, Super Chat is always open and available. We tried to get to as many comments as we possibly can from all of you because you guys are great at it. You always have excellent points. We love the interaction, but we can't always get to all of them. One way you can guarantee that we get to your comment is if you do hit that Super Chat, but of course you don't have to. So just know that it is always there and ready to go for you. We are, of course, brought to you by Betonline. Betonline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on the game on a game of blackjack or poker, unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. So, Trev, we have got an awesome show for everybody who is here, and there is already so many people in here. Nathan's here, Ned's here, Gus Bus, Uptown Dre, Locked On, Jersey Slim, Franchise Talk, JG, Brian, it's always Doug Ferd. Uptown, ATA Custom Painting Code Talker. If you are in the path of the hurricane down in Florida, please be safe as it's hitting. We are always watching out for our friends down there in Florida. As you know, Commanders fans are everywhere, including Florida. And Lockdown, of course, is down there in Florida. And hurricane's heading right for them. So be safe down there, Lockdown. Great show tonight, Trev, that we're going to have. We're going to talk, obviously, all Commanders, right? Later at 8:45 p.m. in the cool down, we're going to talk to Matt Trigger. Matt Trigger hosts the Bleav in Ravens show. That'll give us an inside look on what's going on up the road in Baltimore. And we'll make all our predictions, and we'll ask for your predictions as well, everybody who is in here. So that's coming up in the cool down at 8:45. At about 8, we're going to talk about how hard it is for us as Commanders fans to believe in what is happening right now with this 4-1 start, with what Jaden Daniels is doing. And we're just going to, we've got PTSD from 20 to 25 years of this team losing and maybe once in a while jumping up a little bit and then coming right back down. Is it okay to start believing in this team at this point, even though it's only 5 games into this new regime? We're going to talk all about that. We're also going to compare Lamar and Jayden. I know Lamar says you can't compare us. I know Jayden says you can't compare us, but we can compare them, and that's what we're going to do there in the game at about 8 o'clock. And then, of course, we're going to start breaking down this matchup of Baltimore and Washington coming up on Sunday at 1:05 at M&T Bank Stadium here in Baltimore. As maybe you do know or don't know, I am in Baltimore County. I'm right outside of the city. And so everywhere are Ravens fans. I'm surrounded by Ravens fans. Back when I couldn't get the games here, when we didn't have the ability to get it on YouTube or whatever, right? So I'd have to go somewhere to watch the game if it wasn't being shown, to watch the Commanders game. If you just go to the local bars, we're not going to show it if the Ravens are on, right? It's going to be all Ravens on every single TV. So just it's kind of cool that here in Baltimore that the Commanders are coming on up to play a big matchup. But right now, we're going to talk all about the Commanders, a little bit of what happened last game, and we're going to get caught up on everything that happened today with the Commanders in a new little segment that we've got here. We're calling it TNN. Hang on, and we're going to show you what TNN is all about. Give me for all your Commanders news and notes. It's the TNN. Here's Trev.
Yo, that was pretty good. That was the first time debuting that. I've never saw it before then till just now. And that's pretty cool. I got to get a new picture. I know. I need a new picture.
Right.
I'm animated, but that kind of works too. It kind of works with the graphics, so we might have to leave that. All right. News and notes. So I'm going to start off with a bit of a positive things, not necessarily stats or awards or anything. Jayden didn't get an award this week, so can't use awards, but just some positivity. I see CBS and the other various programs and broadcasts have said that we have the #1 scoring offense in the NFL. That's something that's probably hasn't happened. I don't know how long. Shout out that.
That's unbelievable, Trev. Don't kind of undersell that. That's an unbelievable thing. That what did we average last year? Like 17 or 18 points a game?
Yes, less than 20 for sure.
And now Washington is the #1 scoring offense after 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
That's unbelievable.
With a brand new roster, brand new like everything. It is unbelievable. Jaden Daniels is currently leading the NFL in completion percentage at 77.1, I believe it is. And I don't have a list here again, but I know he's ahead of people like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Derrick Carr, Gardner Minshew, CJ Stroud. He's ahead of all these players. So, hey, Jaden Daniels might be the real deal. It is crazy, but 77.1%, which is still awesome for a rookie quarterback leading a brand new franchise.
I mean, 77.1 is amazing for at any level of football. To complete 77.1% of your passes in any season, 5 games in, that's a good enough sample size. And in the NFL, 77.1% of your passes completed is insane.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. So I did find the list. He's ahead of Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr, Joe Flacco, who's making a comeback again, Patrick Mahomes, and CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud's at 68.9. So that's how far ahead Jaden Daniels is of the last person on that list, over almost 10%, which is crazy. Rookie, brand new team.
Wow.
JJ Watt does a little segment on Pat McAfee, comes on all the time. He said today, I quote, where is that? If the vote was today, Jaden Daniels is the MVP of the NFL.
Now, Trev, do you agree with that? Do you think he's the MVP?
Stats don't lie. We're 4-1. We're leading the division.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he is the MVP, but he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah. At this point, yes, I think he is in the conversation. Normally, it seems like nowadays the MVP goes to the quarterback of the best team.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least a division winner.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, that's usually who it goes to. Now, it's not always the most valuable player because, I mean, last year, I think Christian McCaffrey was the most valuable player, but Lamar won. Yeah. And in years past, and it's usually a quarterback nowadays. It's very difficult for anybody else. But he has all the makings, right? He's got all the stats, 4-1 division leading team. But I mean, you could make a case for who's the guy in Minnesota?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I mean, they're 5-0, but I mean, he had a rough game this last week, but up until then, he's been awesome. And then the only other undefeated team is Kansas City, and I wouldn't say Mahomes is playing.
Are they?
Yeah, they're 5-0. The only 2 teams left are Kansas City and Minnesota. Okay. And he has not been playing at an MVP type level. So you have to at least consider Jaden Daniels for MVP. So, I like that. I like when ex-players say it, right? Yeah. I don't really care if Skip Bayless or guys like that, just mouthpieces, Stephen Screaming A. If they say it, it doesn't mean a lot. When J.J. Watt says it, that holds some weight for me.
I believe it. He's been out of the league for a while, so all he's done is done nothing but watch. So
yeah,
I take stock in what J.J. Watt says.
Absolutely.
Another Pat McAfee thing, A.Q. Shipley, who was a former offensive lineman in the league, Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona about 5 years ago. And he does this thing called top in the trenches, top 5 offensive lines week to week. Commanders was number 1 on his list. And the reason why is because of 2 things. Number 1, it was Austin Eckler's run. He's talking about how the center got out, how the center and guard play and right tackle all just made that hole for Austin to shoot up. Great. Send Zacchaeus in motion to distract the person and then just run the ball the opposite way of the motion guy. And then he went to the wide view, or the overhead wide view. If I don't know if anybody has noticed, but Zacchaeus was the guy in motion. So as Austin Eckler is breaking through that first hole, Zacchaeus is about 5 yards behind Eckler. Zacchaeus hauls all the way down. Anybody realize that, but he's the one who recovered that fumble. So that's just telling you what Dan Quinn is preaching to this team: like, don't quit, don't give up, ball hard, give you full effort. And that is literally an example of a full effort play. He was 5 yards behind the play and beat everybody else down there to recover the fumble by Austin Eckler. So I mean,
you know what that's called, Trev? That's called buy-in, right? That they are buying into what Dan Quinn is selling, and when you have buy-in, things can happen. Good things happen.
Just like the national media is starting to talk about us. Various players, former players are talking about us. Various programs are talking about us. That's because everybody's buying into this new energy. Frankie Louvu had it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and on top of that, what you hear from everyone, not just players on Washington, but from around the league, everyone talks about Dan Quinn and how they either loved playing for him when they did or would love to play for him because everybody says he's the real deal. And they just absolutely love playing for him. Frankie Louvu said, I wish I'd played for him my entire career.
I was going to say, 7 years. He wished he played for Dan Quinn for 7 years, his entire career. And he's been with him for a few months.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when guys buy in like that, as I said, good things happen. People will do things that maybe they wouldn't necessarily do. Just watch certain players on other teams, on losing teams, or watch tape from last year with Washington. And guys weren't doing that. When Shady McCoy was talking about Eric Bieniemy, and we all made fun of Shady McCoy when Washington hired Bieniemy, and he was like, Bieniemy, all this bad stuff about Bieniemy, and we wanted to drag Shady McCoy. Well, Shady McCoy seems to be right, but you don't hear any of that about the Washington team, the Peters and the Quinns and the and Joe Witt Jr., guys like that. Did you, Trev, is one of your stories have the story that Grant Paulson told?
No.
I don't know if you saw that or not. But Grant Paulson said that he was told by a couple of sources that there was an injury to a Washington player in a game. They're not saying who the player is, and they're not saying what game it was. But during the game, the player went into the locker room to get checked out. Adam Peters texted the father of that player to tell him that the guy, he's okay, and that he's there with him, and that he's taking care of him, make sure he's getting the best treatment. And these other players are saying, I've never seen anything like this before. I never had a guy in the middle of the game the GM to go into the locker room to check on an injured player and then to let the family know what's going on during the game. And if you have class people like that, like Peters and Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. and Cliff Kingsbury, you're going to get that buy-in. And circling it all back, Trev, to Zacchaeus, who I know he's a good character guy, but I don't know that he's going to do that on other teams, that he's going to run that play down and be there when Eckler fumbles to recover that and not change the momentum of the game. It's a long-winded say that buy-in makes a difference if you got the right people in charge.
For sure. So that's pretty much it for the positivity notes on the Commanders right now.
All right.
Let's get down to the injury report that they put out on Wednesdays following the games, first day of practice. It's kind of long. It's kind of head scratching, but it's only Wednesday.
Okay.
So, Thursday and Friday are the ones you got to really, really pay attention to and take stock in. But this is a little eye-opening. So, right now we're going to start it. We had 6 DNPs today.
Ooh, not good.
Remember, it's just Wednesday. We just played Sunday early, but that's kind of not.
And who are those 6?
You got Nick Allegretti with an ankle.
Okay.
Which he had that, I think, last game. He said it was fine, so it might just be a rest day for some of these. They're just not putting rest day on there. Old man Ertz, that's literally a rest day for him.
Yeah.
It says it right there. Khalil Farrell with his knee again.
He's missed what? 3 games? Maybe 4 even?
Yeah.
Maybe just 3.
Maybe 3, yeah. Because he had a sack in one of them. Dante Fowler, illness, did not play. Look for him to bounce back probably. Hopefully.
All right.
Tyler Owens did not play with the shin.
Which
B-Rob.
He didn't play last game either, right? Tyler Owens was.
Yeah, Defoe came in and took his spot on special teams.
Yep.
And then you got B-Rob, who DNP with his knee. Now, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but Dan Quinn made a point to tell everybody that B-Rob did not have a carry at all in the second half. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until that was said, honestly. I didn't even think about it. But they said he came out of the game good health-wise, and they're kind of conserving him because we're playing some, better teams coming up. Our workload, the schedule load is getting a little heavier coming up the next few games, so they kind of wanted to save him. So I think that's also the precaution too today, DNP, just to get a little extra rest and extra rehab in so you can get ready to go for the big one on Sunday. Then you got Forbes. Go ahead.
On Brian Robinson, I think it's a concern because this did pop up before the Browns game.
Yeah, you said he looked like a step slow, like it was.
He looked a step slow in the Arizona game. Yeah, I thought he didn't have the explosion that we're used to. Mm-hmm. And then he came up on the injury report last week with his knee issues. And then, like you said, he didn't play at all in the second half. He only had 7 carries in the first half. Now, 2 of those 7 were for touchdowns. That's a pretty good rate.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's a concern. I'm officially concerned about Brian Robinson's knee. Not that they don't have other guys who can step in,
right?
Trev, but he's RB1 for a reason.
Yeah, and the ones that can step in are similar to Austin Eckler style.
Yeah, that's right.
Short, stubby, quick feet. We don't have really the ground and pound like we do with B-Rob, busting people's heads and breaking through tackles. So I'm a little concerned, but I'll definitely be more concerned with DNP tomorrow. Then we got 4 players who were limited today. We got Noah Brown. He came back to practice. He's dealing with a groin injury, so that's a good sign. Reports saying he's on track to play Sunday, so that's good. Percy Butler, groin, limited. Austin Eckler on there, limited with the heel injury.
That's a new one,
interesting.
Right?
Yep, that's interesting. And then Quan Martin on there, limited with the neck. They said he got banged up, like shoulder area, whatever. So if it's a neck, that's kind of concerning a little bit.
Yeah, I actually remember the play that happened with Quan Martin, the concussion and everything. Yeah, that didn't look great too. So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on when, again, he's a starter out there. And so we'll see what happens there.
Then we got 3 people in the report who had full practice. You got Forbes Jr. with his thumb injury. He was full, good to go. Linebacker Jordan McGee, who was dealing with that knee issue, was full practice again today. I think he practiced full this week too. They can activate him, I think, within 21 days of taking him off the pup, right? So he could play Sunday if he was ready to go, if they felt like it. He has a chance. And then defensive lineman F.A. Obata, another Ron Rivera holdover who's been here for years. He is back full practicing after his leg was completely blown up last year with tibia and fibula. So good news for those 3. The DNPs, a little concerning. It's only Wednesday. like I said, tomorrow we should be taking a little more stock into it, but it is worth noting today for Wednesday. And I think that's all I have for news and notes today.
Okay. Nice job, Trev, with the TNN, as we're calling it, Trev's news and notes here on Ref the District. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. 146 folks in here right now on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button for us. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button as well. I'm not sure how many Facebookers we have in here, but always appreciate when people check in there. All right, Trev, let's kind of wrap up before we start moving on, talking about being okay to Bleav in Washington. I kind of wanted to. There's a lot of talk here over in the comments section about. I think it's November 4th is the trade deadline.
Yeah,
and people are talking about maybe what if Washington should make a move, and that's still like 4 games away. There's still 4 more games to be played before then. And if they make a move, should they go after a corner? Should they go after, rumors are, J.C. Horn's out there and he may be available. What would you think about Washington making a move for a corner at this point when your starters right now are BSJ, Sainistril on the outside, and then Noah on in the slot there? Would you want them to go ahead and make a move? Let's just say J.C. Horn at this point for Carolina.
Okay.
Would you want this team to do something that they said they're not going to do this year, which is going out and getting somebody for a stretch run?
Previous years, same scenario, hard yes. Not even thinking about it, yes. But since we've got a brilliant GM who loves his draft picks because he uses them so wisely, it depends on what you want to give up for a player like J.C. Horn. I like J.C. Horn. He's kind of had an injury play career in Carolina, but when he's healthy, he's pretty good. But also for a guy like J.C. Horn, give up a 6th, maybe a conditional pick or something. I don't see J.C. Horn worth anything above a 5th round or a 6th round pick, honestly, in my opinion. I think we'd be better off signing someone off the street. That way we're not losing any capital or any money or anything. We might lose some money like a vet minimum deal or something. I prefer that because I know we dog our cornerbacks, our defensive backs. We have all season. But the way that our defense has played the past 2 weeks, they've kind of held their own. That's because the defensive line has gotten some pass rush. That's because the linebacker crew has stepped up when they need to the second level, and it helps the secondary. You can have a weak secondary, but as long as you get the quarterback to make a mistake, that weak secondary can become strong. So I'm not ready. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm not ready to throw away the cornerbacks yet. Not via trade. Because I don't want to give up any players, and I don't want to give up any draft picks that might be overpriced or too much for the player that we're trying to get. So, no, I do not think we should make a trade for a corner unless it's a stud. But all the studs that are left are free agents. I don't see a lot of cornerback prospects popping up via trade. J.C. Horn came out of nowhere. I didn't even know that I would expect that, but I don't see any other ones unless they're going to be reported from now, like 3 more games. But I prefer to stay pat and go get somebody and bring to the locker room and let somebody else go. Don't give up any draft capital for these. Because think about it. If these corners are up for trade, they maybe didn't work for their organization, but who's to say they're going to work for our organization? There's a reason why they're up for trade.
Sure.
If J.C. Horn is their best cornerback in Carolina, why would they give him up? I know it's a business deal, but so my overall answer is not right now.
Okay.
No. Stand pat.
I get it.
Sign somebody off the street and see what we can do with our defense getting better.
If you look at Brown's Twitter from this past week, and it was all the talk was all about, of course, their quarterback, right? And guys aren't open, and that's why Deshaun's not getting it. But everybody's showing guys were open everywhere.
Right.
Okay. What you said at the beginning, Trev, is that the defensive line was getting good rush on Deshaun Watson and not allowing him to figure out who's open and get him the ball. So the problem is not that they weren't open. So that's saying that maybe our DBs are not up to the task.
Okay.
But like you said, if you can get that push up front on your defensive line, then your corners don't have to be great. They just have to be good because you can pressure the quarterback into making mistakes. The problem here is, like in Tampa in game 1, I thought they got really good pressure on Baker Mayfield, but he was able to escape the pressure and he was able to make plays downfield.
Yeah.
And if you have a quarterback like that, I don't know, Lamar Jackson, who is able to work his way out of that pocket, then that puts way too much pressure on corners for Washington that may not be up to the task. And maybe they do need to go out and get a stud. I'm not ready to do that yet either, Trev. I'm not ready to, again, throw away the plan that this front office has had from the beginning, which has said, we're going to do this smart. We're going to build through the draft, and we are going to find guys that fit what we do well. And we're not going to pay a lot for them. We're going to find a Frankie Louvu, not give him a ton of money. We're going to find a Tyler Biadasz and not give him a ton of money. And I can go through all the names, right? And we're going to go find a Jeremy Chin and a Dorrance Armstrong and a Zach Ertz and an Austin Eckler and so on and so forth. And so a J.C. Horn might be a guy that's going to take some draft capital. And after that, he's going to take a fairly large contract, although I don't know a whole lot about J.C. Horn. I don't know how well he's been playing over there. I just remember him being a high draft pick, and that's all I really know about him. So like kind of Gus Bus said earlier, he said, look, I want to see how he plays against Washington. It's in 2 weeks, right? Or it's not week 6.
Oh, J.C. Horn, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Week 7, right? Let's see how he plays against Washington in week 7. And then that's all, we can get that firsthand look at him and watch him every defensive snap and see if he's a guy that we want to go after. But I'm with you, Trev. I don't think that they should trade for a guy right now. I think even if they are 7-2 or whatever week they're in by the time the trade deadline comes around, I don't think we're ready to just kind of go all in and make that Super Bowl run, that playoff run. We got to slow our roll a little bit because this team is 4-1 and we're a little bit concerned about, are we getting over our skis with this team? Is it okay to believe in what this team is doing now and what they are possibly capable of? Are the days, Trev, of not having nice things, right? Yeah. Of getting that quarterback a la Robert Griffin III, but having him flame out due to injury or inability to be a pocket passer? Or are we going to go get the hot coordinator like Jay Gruden and he doesn't pan out? Or are we going to go get the hot college coach in Steve Spurrier and not pan out? And so on and so forth. Are we going to go get the best defensive back on the market? I can't even remember his name anymore. Jackson. What was his name?
William Jackson.
William Jackson, and have him totally bomb out because we can't have nice things here in Washington. Maybe those days are over, Trev. Maybe they are to the point now to where we can have nice things and it is okay to believe. And we're going to talk all about that here on the game. All right, welcome back to episode number 194 of Ref the District here on Facebook and YouTube. Reminding you to hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscriber button. This segment, of course, this is the game segment, is, of course, brought to you by Don't Sleep Energy. Need to get hyped for the game on Sunday? before the game, grab yourself a Don't Sleep energy shot. Or if you need to stay ready Sunday for the Commanders game, grab a 12-ounce can of regular or sugar-free. You can get any of them now at don'tsleepenergy.com. Use the promo code DISTRICT, and you'll get 10% off, and you'll be supporting a great local DMV company. Don't Sleep makes you great. All right, Trev, let's kind of talk about whether or not it's okay to believe. And Trev, I want you to dig back into your memory banks at this point, and I want to hear from everyone who is already here. And look, we got a ton of folks here, some who have come in here a little bit later. Ruben's here, Gregory's in there, Scooby D2, I like that.
Yep.
PCC's in here, Roger, Jordan's in here, Uptown, I don't think we mentioned him earlier, and of course Luis is here as well, and so many more. Again, we appreciate everybody who's here. Trev and everybody who's here, go back into your memory banks and try to remember when you thought or when you did buy in and you were ultimately brokenhearted by this team.
Oh, man. So many times. RG3 to start it off. Heartbroken because we didn't continue on with him. He didn't pan out the way we wanted him to pan out. Alex Smith, I was hyped. We were 6-3. Like we were winning games. And then the horrific injury happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history from there. I was hyped when we beat the 11-0 Steelers COVID year. And we won the division at 7-9.
Right.
7-9 was a horrible record, but we won the division. That's something new. So I was hyped on that. We could just build on that, right? Nope. I mean, it's just been, like you said, we just can't have nice things year after year after year. We get a nice thing, it gets taken away from us. We get a nice thing, it gets ruined. We get a nice thing, it ends up not being so nice. Albert Hainsworth, loved him as a player. Then he turned out to be not the player that we brought him in for, and we gave him all that money. Junior Gillette, another player, one of the best pass rushers in the league at one point, came from the Saints, and we got him. Drama with him and gone. So like it's been nothing but nice things taken away from us year after year after year. So is it okay to Jason Campbell? Yep, liked him too. He just got sacked too many times. Couldn't really be the quarterback that he was in Auburn. So the list can go on. I could be here forever.
Yeah.
But and one more I see. Josh Norman. Thought that was going to be
a game changer.
Yes, he was locked down in Carolina, and then he comes to us, and he was okay. DJ Swearinger, Jason Taylor, Bruce Smith, the list goes on. All these nice things that we get flame out or taken away from us. So is it okay to believe right now? I think it is. I think it's okay to start to believe right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully believe yet because of all the trauma listings I just ran off. That's what's holding me back. We have a nice thing at being 4-1. We have a nice thing at having the brand new front office and brand new coaching staff and brand new roster. We have a nice thing at Jaden Daniels, a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that's led us to 4-1. We have a nice thing where he's leading the NFL to where they want to mention him in MVP conversations already. We have nice things because the stadium changed the name and we have, like I said, new ownership. But at the same time, when things go our way, things don't go our way in the blink of an eye. So I don't fully believe. I'm shocked and surprised because of the start we've had of the season at 4-1. Was not expecting that. But also at the same time, it's nice that we're 4-1. It's nice that we're getting national recognition. It's nice that we're actually playing good football. We're actually putting a product on the field that people want to come and see and cheer on every week now. It's the games aren't predictable anymore. The games are, we're up 14-3, but we're going to end up losing 28-14. Watch. And it happens. Like, it's not predictable anymore, no matter who we have. So it's kind of like, real quick, we had those big names in the past, the Josh, the Hainsworth, and all of them, and they haven't panned out. This year, we took a bunch of low-level, I don't want to say no-name guys, but no name to the entire league, to the national stage. We took a bunch of them and brought them together, and now they're all getting nationally recognized, and we're 4-1. We took a bunch of players that were stars or good players or captains, whatever, on their respective teams before they came to us, like the Austin Ecklers, the Zach Ertz, the Frankie Louvu's, the Bobby Wagners, the people who've been leaders on their own separate teams. We've all brought them into one locker room now, and it's being beneficial because we're 4-1 right now at 5 games. So, start to believe.
Don't take this as being a Debbie Downer, but let me just give you some reasons to maybe slow your roll a little bit. Okay. If you are all in at this point and you're ready to, with full heart and everything, if you're ready to do that, let me give you reasons to maybe not. Okay. They're 4-1. They've beaten teams whose combined record is 6, and I'm trying to do the math real quick in my head. In these 4 games, the ones that they've won, they've beat a 2-win team, a 2-win team, a 1-win team, and a 1-win team. So that's 6 wins. That's 8. That's 14 losses. Their combined record, right, is 6 and 14. Okay.
Okay.
They have faced the quarterbacks that they have faced have been Baker Mayfield, and they lost to him, a really good quarterback. Daniel Jones, mid at best, right? Joe Burrow, a stud. And even this year, even though they're 1-4, he's a stud. He's having a great year. I think he's got 11 or 13 touchdowns this year throwing already. Okay, he's a stud. Kyler Murray, who's mid at best. And then this past week, Deshaun Watson, who is in danger of being benched at any point. They haven't played anybody of note. Now, they've helped some of these teams become bad, right? They've helped Cincinnati to be bad, to be a 1-4 team. They've helped the Browns, who were a playoff team last year, who won 11 games last year, to be bad. So that's just some caution I'm giving in that they haven't been. Think of the running backs they've faced this year. The running backs, Rachaad White, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, James Conner, and Jerome Ford. Was that the leading running back?
And Dante Foreman. Yeah.
And they're still giving up 130 yards per game rushing. So that's what I'm concerned about in terms of letting my emotions kind of be able to say that this is a playoff contender. So anyone who wants to sort of say, look, those teams are bad because we made them bad, I'll give you that. But the schedule is not the toughest schedule in the league. And their upcoming schedule, the rest of this year, is not that difficult either, relatively speaking. Right? After this game, this is the toughest game of the year. Baltimore's going to be their toughest game of the year by far. And it's really not even close. You got Carolina, you got the Bears, you got the Giants, and you got Pittsburgh, who I think Pittsburgh's a little bit fraudulent.
Yeah.
I think they're 3-2. I don't think they're that good. But, you know, Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin, and he's going to coach the heck out of you. You got Philly and Dallas 2 more times each.
Yeah.
You got the Giants again. Oh, I think I already mentioned the Giants.
No, Titans.
You got the Titans. Right? You got the Saints and the Falcons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a fairly easy schedule, relatively speaking. It's a week-to-week league. You can lose every one of those games.
Yeah.
But you should be favored in almost every single game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just going back and forth. I don't know if
I'm
ready to give it all yet.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm nervous. Like, I'm very skeptical. Like, you saw my instant reaction on Monday. I was hyped for 4-1, but I was still like, I don't know, man.
I mean, Cleveland's bad.
Yes.
Right? Cleveland's bad. Deshaun Watson, that was one of the worst quarterback performances I've seen in a long, long time.
And then we put up 42 the week before that against Arizona, and they just come out and beat the 49ers Sunday.
Right.
Kyler Murray went off.
Was that on the road? Bad? Was that in Arizona or was that in San Fran?
That was in San Francisco. So, like, are we really that? Are they really that bad? Or are we just that good? Like you said, it's week to week. You never know. Any given Sunday. Yeah, man, I'm with you. Once you look at all those things, it's like, yeah, we beat some bad teams, but also in the past, we have found ways to lose to those bad teams.
That's right. Absolutely.
When we had Carson Wentz 2 years ago, we played Cleveland, and they were led by Jacoby Brissett. And they weren't that good. I thought that was a win for us, but we played down to their level, ended up getting beat. That was our MO in the past few years. Play down to level competition. Heck, we only beat Arizona last year by like what, 1 or 2 points in Arizona with Sam Howell, and they had Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, they had Dobbs. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so we found a way to make that game closer than what it should have been, and that's what I'm used to in the past. It's just we stoop down and we end up losing or barely scraping by these bad teams.
Yeah.
So I take the bad team stat as it is something to look at, but also we're beating these bad teams like we're supposed to. But I'm not ready to fully give in.
Yeah, I think I'm with you as far as not. I mean, come Sunday or, getting ready for this particular game, you're all in with your, with your love for the team and all that other stuff. But, you have that little bit of reservation holding you back saying, at what point does the other shoe drop? At what point?
Yeah.
Because I'm so scarred from all these years. Look, Trip, I have not been like most people here. Most people here have been a fan of this team their entire life for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I haven't. I became a fan when Steve Spurrier came to Washington, which was 98 or 99. All I've known is losing. That's all. I wasn't a fan during the glory years, during the Super Bowl years.
Same. I wasn't alive.
You weren't alive.
I was like
right?
4, like 3 or 4. Yeah.
So all that's happened to us is we've been burned. Remember 6-3 with Zorn, right?
Yeah.
And what a dumpster fire that turned into, right? I mean, that was terrible. Or the trade for Donovan McNabb. We thought,
that was hype.
Oh, it's over now. We're gonna dominate now.
Yeah, awful.
And that dumpster fire there.
We had Deshaun Jackson, who was good for us, but then let him go.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, yeah. So I know people are saying, like somebody just said, stop living in the past, live in the present. It's really, really hard when you're only accustomed to losing the past 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but you do have to sort of look at all the factors that have led into all of that losing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's all gone. Maybe it's all gone.
I tell you what. We went on Sunday. I'm all in.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm all in. Not only because of the players we're playing, but Baltimore has been a well-respected organization in the NFL ever since they won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer.
Sure.
And that was
they're a well-run organization. And Josh Harris does not hide the fact that he is trying to emulate what Baltimore does is in terms of being a successful organization. He's not hiding that. He has said that publicly, that we see what Baltimore is doing, that we talk to them, we go up there, and because they are a successful organization, we're going to try and copy that here in Washington. So I think that's going to help along the way. But you're right. If we beat Baltimore, I mean, this place is going to be on fire, especially when you look at your next 3 games, which are Carolina, Chicago, and New York.
Yep. We're going to be on fire.
On fire.
Because Baltimore is always in the conversation. Whether it's postseason, whether it's
always.
MVPs, whether it's leading something in the league, they're always in the conversation. So, yeah, if we win on Sunday, then I'm definitely all in.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you, Trev. I still have that little bit that I'm holding back as well, but at this point, this is the most fun for sure that we've all had since 2012, since that run in 2012, which turned out to be smoke and mirrors, right? Because with Robert not being able to run an offense properly and everything that went with that, so that all, of course, fell to the wayside. But here we are in a new era, and now we've got the guy. And that's also, Trev, that also helps, for me anyway, to be able to say we have the guy. We have the quarterback.
We do.
And when you look at the quarterback, I'm still trying to find, and I'm being serious about this, this is not hyperbole, I'm still trying to find a flaw in his game. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been able to find a flaw in any part of his game. He has the physical tools, obviously. He has the arm strength. He has the accuracy. He has the touch. He has the deep ball ability. He obviously has the legs to be able to escape the pocket and make plays with his legs. So he has all of those physical traits that a quarterback needs. He can make all the throws, left, right, middle, deep, short, whatever. He has the intangibles, which are, I'm going to be the first guy in the building. I'm going to do my lifting and my game plan study before practice, right? I'm going to be there and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this VR stuff, right? I'm going to do all of that. And then, so that's the intangibles there. And then he has the humble trait about him in that he's not, thinking he's better than everybody else
at all.
And he's got the ego and he's got everything. I'm trying to find a flaw, Trev. I can't find a flaw in Jaden Daniels.
I mean, if you asked me after week 1, yeah, there was a couple flaws, but he's grown up to the level where, like you said, there are no flaws right now. There really aren't. He, not only with all the intangibles and the physical traits, he's very, 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 very knowledgeable in the game of football.
Very knowledgeable.
The way in which also makes you think he was probably a tremendous student as well, which translates to the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is calling plays without huddling, without even getting them together to make sure everybody, like, his retention level is probably off the charts.
Oh, yeah.
His IQ level is off the charts. Like, he knows when to use his legs. He knows where to put the ball so only his receivers can get it. He knows who's blitzing, who's not. He knows what safety is over there, who's not. He knows he just knows everything, and it's not taking him long at all. I mean, he got the playbook, back in April probably, right after the draft. And after OTAs, after going up against, 2 opponents in the offseason and then 5 opponents now, he's literally playing like he's been here for at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best parts, Trev, about Jaden Daniels specifically, but any successful quarterback, there are a gazillion quarterbacks who have come into this league who have the same physical traits, or maybe even better, that Jaden Daniels has. The arm strength and the legs. And just think about the countless guys. You can rattle off hundreds of them who have better physical traits than Jaden Daniels. But what sets him apart so far through 5 games and through the preseason and through training camp and everything that we've heard it from day one from the guys, from the Dan Quinns and the Kingsburys and all that, from day one, what sets him apart, Trev, is that he's able to go up to the line of scrimmage after a play has been called, be able to recognize the defense that they're playing, be able to understand who's going to be the guy who's going to be open, get that ball to him properly, and he has to do all this in his brain in like 15 seconds. That's what separates regular quarterbacks from great quarterbacks is the ability to process all of that and then use his physical ability that he has to then execute that play. And not many guys can do that.
You saw, okay, it happened twice preseason. That man checked to a deep ball on third down in preseason because he trusted himself, and it worked. We got the first down. You saw this last Sunday. He hit a play, ran out of bounds, came back and ran by Cliff and said, "Yo, call it for Diami. Call it again." And what happened? Wide open touchdown to Diami.
Right.
And then, I saw a headline: Bo Nix and Sean Payton kind of got into on the sideline because Bo Nix did what Jaden Daniels did, and Sean Payton was not about that.
Not having
Bo Nix flipped the play, and it didn't work, and they had a little tussle on the sideline about it, a little tiff on the sideline about it. These coaches trust Jaden Daniels fully, 100%, and he's only been with them for a few months. So that speaks volumes about Jaden Daniels. His all that wrapped up into one. The coaches 100% trust him. Not saying Sean does not trust Bo, but it seems like Bo has a little bit of a longer leash than Jaden does. It seems like Caleb, I mean, he has to wear an armband now because he wasn't processing fast enough. He's had to make an adjustment already.
Right.
Jaden Daniels, his adjustment is, put a little less touch on it, or slide, or just let it rip. And after that, it's not, you never see any tiffies. You don't see any, he's just a veteran in a rookie's body, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you look at quarterbacks past here in Washington, you want to try and kind of compare, right? Where you have a guy, let's just say like a Carson Wentz, who has all the physical tools to be a really good quarterback. What he doesn't have is the ability to understand the defense that he's looking at and then be able to execute the play properly. When you have a set of receivers here in Washington like they have, and you have receivers out there like Zacchaeus, okay, and Noah Brown, and no disrespect to those guys. These are stud athletes in their own right. And you have a Zach Ertz, right? And guys like this, and Jaden Daniels doesn't care who those guys are. He knows that they're going to be open. Certain guys are going to be open on certain plays, depending on what it's called and what the defense is doing in front of him. And again, he's able to process that and then execute it. Carson Wentz wasn't able to do that, even though he had the physical tools, but he also didn't have the accuracy. That was a problem for him as well. And then you have a guy like Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke is able to process a lot of that stuff. He just didn't have the physical tools. So it's hard to get that guy who possesses both of those. And that's why it's such a difficult position to play, and why there's only 10 to 15 guys on this planet who can do that ultra successfully. And Jayden is one of those guys. And because of that, because of what we've seen with him, we're able to believe in this team and buy in that what he's doing is real. It's not gimmicky. It's not fake. It's not a team that is squeaking by. They're doing everything that they're supposed to do to win these games. And then you look ahead and you see a softer schedule. That's a good reason to buy in and believe this team.
I wholeheartedly agree on that. It's just, I multiple times a day, I'm like, yo, we're really 4-1. I go to the store and I'm wearing something or whatever, and they just know that I'm a fan. Like, hey, you guys might be the real deal. And I'm like, we're looking pretty good, but I don't, and that's just because of the past, and it just, the PTSD of the past sets in when people give compliments to this 4-1 team. But at the end of the day, the teams we beat, they're in NFL too. It's not, a different league. We didn't play a JV NFL team. We played professional football teams, and we're 4-1. No matter what they are, they're still professional football teams. It's hard to win in the NFL, and we're making it look pretty easy so far.
Yeah, that's crazy. I sort of hate to kind compare Jayden with Lamar because Jayden
You got
doesn't
to.
want to be compared, but Lamar
No.
doesn't want to be compared. That's fine. I understand that they don't want to be compared, and that's great. And they want to build their own legacy. That's fine. But we still do that as fans. We look at that and we want to compare them because they are very, very similar quarterbacks.
Yes.
They're the same, basically the same size. Lamar's a little bit taller, but they're the same type of quarterback. The only difference really that I see in the two of them is Jayden's accuracy is so much better than Lamar's.
Yeah.
But their ability to obviously to play well, to lead their team, to get out of the pocket, to scramble, to run, all of these things, they are very similar. And I think it's okay to compare the two, whether they want to or not. And we put out a couple of poll questions throughout the course of the week. Who would you rather have right now? So I'm asking everybody's here. I wish we could do a live poll.
Oh my gosh.
Who would you rather have? And I'm going to kind of do check what everybody says here. And I'm talking about right now, not Lamar when he first came into the league, not Jayden 5 years from now. Right now,
man.
Who would you rather have quarterbacking your team, Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels?
Oh my gosh, man. Right now,
you had a choice.
You saw the magic that Lamar just pulled on Sunday. Like, the man slipped and got the ball, ran, threw a touchdown. You got JD5 scrambling out of sacks, spinning out of sacks, stiff arming kids. Oh man. Give me Jaden Daniels right now. Oh, I don't know. That's tough.
Well, I mean, right now, for everybody who's in here, everybody seems to be seeing Jaden Daniels. And that's great. I don't have any problems with people saying that. But I think you all are a little bit crazy.
Lamar
We're
Jackson
talking about a 2-time MVP.
But you said don't think about that. You said right now.
Okay, but it's not like he's past his prime. He just won the MVP. Let's see. Let's look how far back that was. Last year, he was the MVP just last year. But I love this. I just went on a whole soliloquy about how great Jaden Daniels is. But I mean, Lamar Jackson is,
he's a whole different animal.
Why he hasn't won anything yet, right? He has struggled at times in the playoffs, but he's won playoff games. Let's not say he's never won.
He's made it there.
And 2019, he was only the second unanimous MVP in the history of the NFL. I would take Lamar Jackson right now, but if the bridesmaid is Jaden Daniels, I'm okay with the bridesmaid as well, right? Because both of them are great at this point, and it's just kind of fun to kind of look. I mean, look, he's been good this year as well. It's not like he hasn't. He's had a bad year so far. I think he's already got this year 9 touchdown passes, I think, already this year. Let me see if I wrote down his overall stats. Maybe I didn't, but
that's tough. But
he's got 134 to 46 touchdown to interception ratio. His career yards per carry average is 6.6 yards per carry. He has the third most rushing yards in the history of the NFL for a quarterback. And this week, he's going to get to second because he's only 10 yards behind Cam. And then by the end of the year, he's going to catch Michael Vick for number 1. I mean, look, I love him. So I can't kind of go against him here.
I might have to agree with you.
But
no disrespect to JD5. He's second for me between these two. It goes Lamar, then JD5. Because they are similar, but Lamar is just that magician, bro. He's just that dude. Like, that dude.
I mean, he's going to be tough. So let's sort of transition. Don't forget at 8:45, we'll have Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. He'll be joining us to get an inside look at what's happening there in Baltimore. But let's look at what's been going on with the Ravens this year so far and what Washington has to face, what they're going to have to do to beat Baltimore in Baltimore. 1 o'clock, by the way, we got Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. We got the big dogs for this game.
That's right? How you know it's a real game.
Yes, indeed. So far this year, Lamar is passing at a 65.3% rate, 1,206 yards, which is more than Jaden Daniels. He's got 9 TDs and only 1 interception and a 107.3 rating. So he's in the MVP mix already this year.
Oh, however,
sure. He's got 363 yards rushing on top of that, which is more than Jaden Daniels has.
Okay.
So he's running at a 6.8 yards per carry average and another 2 TDs. So he's got a total of 11 touchdowns in 5 games, Lamar Jackson does. The problem this year with Baltimore, for me anyway, is Mr. Derrick Henry, King Henry.
Yep.
King Henry.
Lamar's going to get his.
Yeah. He's running at 572 yards at a 6 yards per carry average and 6 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for our run defense against, like you said earlier, we're still letting almost 150 yards a game in rushing.
130. Commanders defense has given up 130 yards per game, which is 22nd in the league.
And all the running backs we've faced combined don't even come close to Derrick Henry.
No, not even close.
So,
and the Ravens offense, their rushing offense is number 1 in the league at 212 yards per game. Not even close. Washington's number 2, right, in rushing at 178 yards per game. They're rushing more than 30 yards per game more than the number 2 team in the league.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem stopping Derrick Henry, and then if you do, stopping Lamar Jackson as well.
Yeah, I'm afraid of both because I know it was week 1, but we let Baker Mayfield be super elusive in the pocket, which he is a little bit, but he was really, really good at that week 1. Deshaun Watson would have done that if he, didn't do what he did off the field, and he's like a broken quarterback. John Allen went on the junk saying that it looks like he has no confidence in his game anymore.
Yeah.
So you could kind of see that on Sunday. We held Kyler Murray, who likes to get off in the scramble game too. He did that against
San Francisco.
He had
who had 1 rush for 3 yards or something like that.
Yeah. But they're all not Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And Lamar gets his no matter who he's playing. He gets his. So that scares me. And then, like you said, the Derrick Henry. Their rushing attack scares me. Not so much as the air attack, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Derrick Henry is a different guy going against him. And then they've got their third down back, Justice Hill, who's running at a 5 yards per carry average as well, and who's also got 17 catches out of the backfield for 169 yards. So Justice Hill comes in the game, and he's somebody you got to pay attention to as well. Their leading receivers are Zay Flowers. He's got 24 catches for 269 yards, and Rashad Bateman has 13 for 202. They're not like super scary receivers, but
no,
they're guys you're going to have to pay attention to. Zay Flowers, he's a tough guy to cover. Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Likely, their tight end, not Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely, he's a weapon for them.
Absolutely.
For those 2 tutties late. So it's going to be interesting to see how Joe Witt deploys his defense. Maybe look for different formations. Maybe look for some QB spies. Maybe don't blitz as much. You sit in the house, Lamar just going to run right by you. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Joe Witt is willing to play Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to line up a lot of 5-2, a lot of 4-6 bear for Derrick Henry, or we're going to bring more linebackers on so Luvu can spy Lamar because he's our fastest linebacker, and have Bobby Wagner. You know, it's going to be very interesting to see what Joe Witt deploys this Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. They have a three-headed monster at tight end there with Likely and Mark Andrews and Kolar.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right. Combined, they have 31 catches for 398 yards and 4 touchdowns.
You know, it's crazy. We have a three-headed monster tight end, but when it comes to blocking, not when it comes to receiving.
That's right.
No, I'm not.
Does Sinnott have a target this year? I'm wondering.
I don't know. I know he has a penalty. He's got a false start penalty. I don't
and
think
yet
so.
He's been playing well. Everyone's very happy with the way he's playing. I know he doesn't have a catch, but I'm just wondering if he has a target yet.
I don't know. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, defensively, obviously their linebacker, they're led by Roquan Smith there in the middle. He's their leading tackler. Kyle Van Noy has 6 sacks already, Trev, and 8 tackles for losses in 5 games.
And he broke his orbital bone.
So is he playing?
Oh, he's playing. He
playing
played the week after. Yeah, but he's doing that with the pain of a broken orbital bone.
He's playing with a broken face.
And he's a journeyman. He's a journeyman too.
Yeah, he is.
I actually wanted him to come to us in the offseason because he still got it. Clearly he does. 6 sacks in 8 games.
6 sacks in 5 games.
Oh, 5 games. Yeah.
And 8 tackles for losses. 8 TFLs.
And he's old.
I mean, 6 sacks in 5 games, that equates to over 20 in a season. He's on a tear. So you're going to have to account for him. Obviously, the big thing that we've talked about, Trev, for our offense against their defense, we have the number 2 rushing offense at 178.4 yards per game. But the Ravens defense stopping the run, they are number 1 in the NFL at stopping the run. They're only giving up 60 yards per game.
Yeah.
Are you still going to continue to try and run it, even though you're going against the number 1 rush defense?
You got to keep it honest. You can't become one-dimensional, and you can't do it early in the game because that's going to make the defense super easy to play against us. You ground and pound. You wear out the defense. This is the kind of game where if it's not working, it is working in the same sense. Yeah, we might not be breaking these 50-yard runs by Eckler or 20-yard runs by B-Rob, but if you get 3, 4, 5 yards continuously, that defensive line is going to get tired.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when play action comes in. That's when different kind of runs come in. That's when the passing game opens up more if you run the ball more. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cliff balances it out. I don't know if it's going to be as balanced as it has been these past weeks, or is it going to be more run heavy because of that, or more pass heavy? So this is kind of a game where it's like, what are we really going to do on Sunday? Because this is a true test. I know DQ came out saying it's not a measuring stick game because Ron said it was, but it is.
Yeah.
But also we're 4-1. So if we drop to 4-2, we're still number 1 in division. We still got a winning record. We can go improve on that gameplay or learn for the next games. I think this game should make us better. If we lose, did we get better losing to the Ravens? You know what I mean?
Right.
Also, the Ravens have lost to the Chiefs and the Raiders.
The Raiders.
So whatever those 2 teams did, maybe watch those films.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
They beat the Cowboys by 3.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed the Bills, which that happens. The Bills are a regular season question mark every year until it's time to go to the playoffs. And then they whatever. But then they just went in overtime on Sunday against a team we embarrassed on Monday night. I know it's 38-33, but that was a garbage time touchdown. We dominated that whole game in the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Ravens can be had. I think they're probably the most inconsistent powerhouse team in the NFL.
And let's not forget, you make some great points about continuing to run the ball. Their pass defense is 31st in the league.
See, that's what.
So they're gonna have to throw the ball quite a bit. They're giving up 280 yards a game through the air. That's where they're getting beat.
Yes, that's what you're gonna have to do is go through the air, but don't shy away from the run game totally. You gotta have that. At least I want to see at least 20 carries from the run game. For real.
Yeah.
At least 20 carries.
For sure. I mean, the Ravens offense is prolific. Obviously, they're first in the league in total yards. They're getting 447 yards a game on average offensively, which is number one. And we talked about their running game, of course, is number one at 211 yards. And they're passing at 236 yards per game, which is ninth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, that's where we're going to have to get them. We're going to have to get them through the air. And their offense is second in points per game at 29.4. Oh, who's number one in points per game in the NFL? That'd be the Washington Commanders. So there's a lot to look at with this team. We have been studying them, watching them. We talked a little bit about their defense. Somebody pointed out very early that Marlon Humphrey was in a walking boot today. That's kind of a big deal as well. He's their best corner. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Kyle Hamilton, I'm glad Nathan is not here tonight because Kyle Hamilton was his guy a couple of years ago when we went and got Jahan Dotson, who is no longer on the team. Nathan wanted Kyle Hamilton so bad. But look, you're right. At this point, the Ravens offense is prolific. The Commanders offense is prolific. The over-under on this game is somewhere in the 50s. I think it's the second highest total behind the Dallas. Who's Dallas playing? Remind me. Who is it?
I said, who cares?
Yeah, that's true as well. We don't really care who they're playing. But I think that's the highest number out there because Washington and Baltimore is right around 50 or 51, depending on what you go to. If you go to Betonline, that's the best place to go and check.
They're playing the Lions.
No, that's the Lions. That's right. That's why that is so high, because that's two teams who are struggling on defense. All right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to talk to Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. Get your questions in, because you guys always have great questions that we want to pass along to Matt and their podcast. But we're going to do a little bit. We're going to go to our quick break. We're going to do a little setup for this interview with Matt Trigger. So stay with us as we head to the cool down. I'm going to move a couple of things here, but when we come back from that quick break, we'll have Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. So make sure you get your questions ready. So let me set this up right now. All right, here we go. It's the red hot Washington Commanders, winners of 4 in a row, heading up the BW Parkway to take on the Ravens, winners of 3 in a row. And we've got Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast here on Ref the District. Let's go. All right, we are going to welcome in Matt here. Give me 1 second as I get this all set up. I think I got it. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. Thanks so much for joining us here on Ref the District.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Before we kind of get into this game here on Sunday, there's a lot to talk about, of course, with this matchup with the two offenses, the comparisons of Lamar and Jaden Daniels, of course. But tell us a little bit about why it seems this happens a lot with Baltimore. You lose 2 games, you lose to a team you shouldn't lose to right away, and now you're kind of on this hot streak. Why is Baltimore always a slow starter?
It's been that way for years, man, especially under this Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh era for the last 6 years, 7 years. It just always seems that way. We always lose against a couple teams that we shouldn't lose to, and then we go ahead and we beat teams that we should probably lose to. And it's just always been finicky with that. It's hard to explain because we almost expected at this point.
Okay. Oh, my bad. Sorry. The elephant in the room in the Baltimore football community, Mark Andrews. What is going on with Mark Andrews? Is he just getting outplayed? Is he injured? Because at one point he was considered one of the best tight ends in the league, right there next to Travis Kelce. But Isaiah Likely seems to be coming on, seems to be getting more targets and more love. What is going on with Mark Andrews?
Mark Andrews is an anomaly right now because for so long he's been one of the top 5 tight ends in football. Depending on who you ask, you can put him anywhere 1 through 5, and the debate can be had. Quite frankly, it's a little bit of a combination of a couple different things. I think he's still not fully recovered from last year's injury. I think he tried to rush back, and even though he didn't have, he missed a good bit of last season with the hip drop tackle injury from Logan Wilson. But at the same time, this dynamic in this offense is completely different. People forget, and Daniel and I have talked about this on our show a couple of times. There's one football, and you now have Derrick Henry in your backfield. You have Isaiah Likely, who was more than impressive in his showing as tight end 1 last year. Charlie Kolar has improved tremendously in the run game, and now he's catching the ball for us in the passing game. You still have Zay Flowers. You still have Justice Hill coming out of the backfield. Rashad Bateman's been the most wide open wide receiver in terms of yard separation per pass play at over 5 yards of separation this season. So there's that. He's coming through on some clutch catches, and you still have Nelson Aguilar, and it's just so many different dynamics that Andrews isn't the first one getting open. He's not the security blanket for Lamar that he used to be.
Well, let's talk about this this question from Uptown Dre's. Is Charlie Kolar becoming a threat, even though he's kind of listed as tight end 3? Is he becoming a threat as that third tight end?
I Bleav he is, and for the simple fact that he's sneaky in finding the soft spot in the zone coverage, which is it's a lot of similar qualities to what Mark Andrews has. I'm not comparing the two because they're not the same in every aspect of the game. He's a very good blocker, but he's also sneaky to where if you put a strong safety on him or a dime cornerback on him, he's going to beat him and he's going to get downfield. Even if he gets a yard or two in terms of separation, he's going to make that catch and he's going to rumble down the field. You're going to run him down. He's not breaking no long gains or anything like that, but you will run him. You will be able to run him down, but he's going to get that first down. He's a chain mover, and he is reliable. He's got a good set of hands. We actually drafted him and Isaiah Likely in the same round a couple years.
Wow.
So did we lose Matt? Do we lose Matt, or am I frozen?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
We'll take another one from the comments. Matt, are the Ravens looking past the Commanders?
Absolutely not. And this is one of those rare instances where the Commanders are a very good football team once again. I'm 35 years old. I haven't seen a legitimately good Commanders team since I was in high school with Clinton and those kind of guys. Sean Taylor was there. God rest his soul. I loved watching Sean Taylor. So for me, this is exciting because our teams only see each other once every 4 years. And I'm even more excited about this game, and I'm not overlooking it. You guys are playing fantastic football right now. The number 1 offense versus number 2 offense in the entire league. And how many times in this league are we going to see Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson? To me personally, this might be a 1 of 4 or a 1 of 3 meeting. We don't know how many times we're going to get to see this. And if you guys are continually good and we're continually good, we're going to get that every other year meeting based on the strength of schedule and the record from the year before that they do for that 17th game. They can make this a yearly or a semi-yearly thing as opposed to every 4 years. It's good for you guys. You have a passionate fan base. And I personally am not overlooking you guys because I've seen what you guys have been doing to people. So I'm not, this isn't, this is Washington. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, even last year. Yeah, this is just Washington. This is a game we would overlook and lose. But we have to take into account that we're seeing the most prolific rookie quarterback since Lamar Jackson coming into this league.
Right.
And he has the league on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe we'll see you all in Arizona in February.
That would be a wild atmosphere.
It would. From our buddy Gus Bus here, he says, do you think Justice Hill may have more of an impact in the game than Derrick Henry?
No, because right now Derrick Henry has 572 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns through 5 games. And I don't think your defense has seen anybody like Derrick Henry yet this year. And to be fair, you guys have played very good defensive football, but you guys haven't seen a rushing attack like this yet.
That's correct.
And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. I was skeptical because Derrick Henry's first game as a Raven, he ran for 46 yards. And then
so you were worried.
I wasn't worried. I was like, this is going to be a little bit because he didn't play in the preseason. So that was like a preseason game. Kansas City was a preseason game for all of our starting offense. So now he gets that like 85 area. You know, he's starting to feel himself. He scores a couple touchdowns. Then he sees Dallas, 150 yards. Now he goes against Buffalo and is 1 yard shy of 200. And then in a game where he wasn't really used much because of the constant airing it out, he has 96 yards on the ground against the Cincinnati Bengals in that overtime throw last week. So Justice Hill didn't have as much of an effect in the last week's game. The way the offense is now tilting, this is Derrick Henry's show with the side, and Lamar's a sideshow in all this. Even though he had the 348, passing yards, an extra 55 on the ground, he scored 5 touchdowns last week. It's crazy to say that he is the sideshow because for the last 3 weeks, that was Lamar's breakout game this year in terms of overall offensive production. Derrick Henry had 210 all-purpose yards on Sunday Night Football, and he's getting going. He's one of those running backs where it'll be one of those situations where he runs for 3 yards, and then that 3 yards will become 5, and that 5 yards will become 10. And that 10-yard run is going to be a 26-yard gain with a broken tackle. And then before you know it, we toss left. Ronnie Stanley and Patrick Ricard open up a lane, and he's 50 yards down the field before you can blink. And I'm not just saying that as a what if. I've actually watched that play out in real time in the last 3 games. I mean, he took the soul out of Cincinnati with that run, and he got run down by Geno Stone of all people. But the last 3 weeks, these defenses have been making business decisions, getting out of his way, and I don't see that changing right now. Now, if it does, Justice Hill's going to have a bigger impact because he's our pass blocker, he's our pass catcher out of the backfield, but he's a hard runner, and I'm not saying he's amazing, but that thunder and lightning change of pace is incredible to watch.
Yeah, it is. So, Matt, do you consider this Washington-Baltimore a rivalry in football? Or just a rivalry in the state of Maryland?
I don't consider it a rivalry because we, like I said a few minutes ago, we see each other once every 4 years. If we were in the same division, yeah, this is a rivalry. We're 60 miles away from each other.
Yeah,
not even. It's not a rivalry for the simple fact that not much is at stake when we play each other.
Right.
Historically, nothing's really been at stake whenever we've played. Now, I will say this. Every time you've beaten us in the regular season, we've won the Super Bowl that year.
Oh, really?
You guys beat us in 2000, and you beat us in 2012.
Huh.
And you've come to Baltimore for one of those wins. So, do I want to go 3-3 this weekend? No. But if Washington beating Baltimore culminates in us raising the Lombardi in February, I think I can live with that. But I don't consider this a rivalry. I know a lot of Commanders fans. I work with a lot of them. I work in Jessup. I'm in the midpoint of you guys in Baltimore. So there's a lot of, full disclosure. I work in corrections. I work in the state prisons down in Jessup. So there's a lot of PG County, Montgomery County, DC inmates that are locked up. So I had Baltimore tattooed on my forearm. I got the entire thing. I got the Ravens at the Orioles. It's a constant talking point. And I've been hearing a lot of trash talk the last couple of days. I enjoy it though.
We were talking about it a little bit earlier. I'm actually in Baltimore County. I'm just outside of the city limits. So
I'm
all I
on the
know
city
is,
limits. Yes.
yeah, all I know is Ravens fans everywhere, all around me. So I try to keep a low profile.
It's the thing is, you guys don't really bother us. What bothers me, and I'm just saying in terms of fandom, because I missed the Colts leaving. I wasn't alive. That was 5 years before I was born, so I don't have an emotional attachment to the Indianapolis Colts. So when there was no football team here for 14 years, you had to root for somebody. And if you're going to stay local and stay loyal, it was Washington.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I mean, I don't fault anybody for being up this way and being a Commanders fan, because at one point in time it was that or the Cowboys or the Steelers or the Eagles, and that just sounds disgusting.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
So I mean, what will blow my mind, I don't want to get sidetracked, is I know a lot of people that live in DC, PG, and Montgomery County, and the amount of Cowboys fans down there is astounding.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's more Cowboys fans over there, it seems like, than there is actually in Dallas.
Yeah, because Dallas knows the real deal.
Let me ask you this from Franchise Talk, basically saying, are you more concerned about Jaden Daniels, the runner, or Jaden Daniels, the passer?
Before Marlon got into a walking boot, I would have said the runner. But we got sliced and diced by Joe Burrow this past Sunday. I'm going to preface this by saying that nobody is the passer that Joe Burrow is, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, when he's healthy and when his targets are healthy. So let me just get that out of the way. I despise Joe Burrow. I think the Cincinnati Bengals fan base is some of the most entitled and egomaniacal people for never winning anything in the franchise's history. But that's for a whole other show. I'm more worried about what he can possibly do in the air if Marlon Humphrey doesn't play, because Marlon Humphrey has been positioned where he should have been from day one. He is our inside slot corner, and he does well jamming guys, being physical, and not having to cover the number one guy. You got Brandon Stevens, who's been playing like an all-pro for a year and a half now, on one side, and then you got Nate Wiggins, our first-round pick, on the other side. We're getting Arthur Millette back soon. So slotting Marlon inside has been rejuvenating to his career. He's also lost a couple pounds. He's gotten healthy. So seeing Marlon in the walking boot gives me a lot of pause, because I don't know if this is going to be a situation where tomorrow at 4:00 when they release the injury report, Marlon's going to miss Sunday. Now we're going to have to look at, is our Darius Washington or Jalen Armour-Davis going to have to slide into that slot cornerback role? Are we going to be seeing Kyle Hamilton playing downfield more to overcompensate, as opposed to being that joker? Kyle Hamilton doesn't really have a position on this team. He's technically a strong safety by definition, but that man takes snaps everywhere on our defense. So I'm more worried about the passing aspect, because nobody's really ran on us this year. So I respect Brian Robinson. I think he did one of the most gangster things last year when he got shot and came back, and he had the Many Men song play when he came out of the tunnel. That was some of the wildest stuff I've ever seen in my life, and I respect him. I think he's a good running back, and he's a bigger dude. I think you'll be able to move the ball a little bit on this defense, but when it comes to the run game, not many people are running on us. Zach Moss was getting chunk plays, but they were far and few between. Just in talking about the most recent game.
So a lot of, they always say the game is one of the trenches, but where do you think, or what do you think is going to be the X factor for this game? Like, where do you think the game is going to be won? Running game, passing game, defense? What do you think is going to be?
I think it all depends on how our defense plays, because right now our offense, the last two games, they've scored almost 80 points. So I have no problem believing that this offense can run the ball and move the ball through the air. Lamar Jackson has proved when they were keying on Derrick Henry and putting 8 and 9 in the box, he's going to go right over the top. So if Washington decides that they want to not have Derrick Henry make a mockery out of them on the run game, and you guys load the box, we got 3 capable tight ends that can run the seam. We got a wide receiver that can catch the ball at the line of scrimmage and create yards after the catch. We got a running back in Justice Hill that can do the exact same thing. So, yeah, our offense can score with anybody. We won a shootout last weekend. And then we put up a lot of points and held the Bills to 10 points the week before. We put up 35. So this all depends on what Baltimore defense shows up because it's been a very mixed bag in terms of our defense this year. Zach Orr is a 31-year-old defensive coordinator. A lot of people in Baltimore are saying that he's in over his head. We brought in Dean Pease today to be a senior defensive analyst. He is our former defensive coordinator before he went to Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. And he's back in the fold, so we don't know what we're going to be getting. You know, we have Yannick Ngakoue back on our team, courtesy of the veteran presence on the practice squad. So our pass rush seems to be stable. It all depends on what the back seven does. Roquan Smith looks great some games, and then there's games where it looks like he's sucking for wind in the second quarter. And Trenton Simpson, that we saw in preseason where he was making 15, 16, 17 tackles in a half, now he's playing with the big boys that are the ones you're seeing the best of every team. So he's been getting caught in a lot of funnels in the run game. He's decent in pass. What are we going to get out of this secondary? Marcus Williams is the worst free safety in football, according to Pro Football Focus.
All right. I like to hear that.
And that's not something that, you know, anybody can look on Pro Football Focus. He's 75 out of 75 safeties that are eligible. And
that's getting me excited, Trev.
We're paying this man $14 million a year to do this. So there's a little bit of a what the heck is going on kind of situation. Then you have Eddie Jackson, who is a shell of who he used to be as his backup. And Kyle Hamilton isn't playing deep third safety and playing too high safety. He's down in the box. He's essentially another linebacker at this point. He's blitzing. He's playing the edge. He's playing inside. He's even lining up at nose tackle in certain situations. So it's really dependent on what defense we're going to, give you guys on Sunday.
I think that Dean Pease deal where you're bringing him off the street after only 5 games because you need a little help. I think that's a bigger deal than a lot of people are making it out to be.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Because when you bring somebody off the street like that early in a season, that means your guy needs help. And you can downplay it all you want. The coaches can downplay it. Harbaugh can say all he wants. I think that's a really big deal that he's not happy. And I think you said it, Matt, that your guy might be in over his head at this point. Not meaning that he's a bad coach or it's always going to be that way, but right now he's in over his head.
And a lot of people don't understand that good defensive coaches aren't sitting at home on the couch.
Right.
That's right.
They're in an organization somewhere. So why Dean Pease is sitting at home right now? I'm kind of wondering, like, he wasn't on a staff already.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like he got fired from a college or a head or a professional organization. And
it's not like Robert Saleh. You're bringing in Robert Saleh.
Right. He's been sitting at home all season.
Yeah.
And to me, a lot of people over the local airwaves on 105.7 The Fan today, they're talking about, oh, well, he was our defensive coordinator, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But he never had this quality and this caliber of defensive players on any of his defenses. He was here when things were kind of rough defensively for us. And it was during a lot of the years before Lamar got here. Yeah. So a lot of people were like, oh, is he going to take this defense? I don't think he's taking the defense over, but there's some lack of a trust factor in him to be bringing Pease in, even though Orr said that he wants him here, which is the company line. I'm not being critical of this, guys, but it says something when you're 5 games into your first season as a defensive coordinator and they're bringing in a former defensive coordinator as a senior advisor. To me, that screams you need some help. Yes. And I'll say this, and I don't know if you've talked to a whole lot of Baltimore content creators or fans in general. Harbaugh is the ultimate delegator as a head coach. He was a special teams coordinator 17 years ago. And he's never been an offensive or a defensive coordinator before he became a head coach.
Yeah.
So he's leaning on people that know what they're doing. And he's going to another familiar face. Harbaugh's had a reputation in Baltimore for nepotism in terms of close family, friends, familiarity, bringing people in that might not necessarily be what we want, but he's familiar with them.
Yeah.
So this all right here, we don't know what we're going to get. Because right now we're missing. People are also having revisionist history because of how we played last year on defense. We were a vintage Ravens defense in 2023. There was no mistaking that. That might be one of the top 5 defenses of our entire franchise history. Mike McDonald had these dudes balling out for him, but now he's not here. No Jadeveon Clowney, no Geno Stone, no Patrick Queen, who is proving himself to be one of the most unreliable starting linebackers in the league. I take great joy in that, but that's for another day.
Washington once brought in a guy halfway through a year who was calling bingo at the local Y. That's what he was doing. Do you remember that, Trev? For an offensive senior assistant, I can't remember his name. This is a good 10 years ago, but remember he was the bingo caller that we brought him in halfway through to help with the offense, and it doesn't usually work out that well when you bring a guy off the streets like that. Matt, let's get, after all this talk and everything, let's get what you think is going to happen on Sunday and, your score prediction.
Oh, well, I would be remiss to say if I didn't think the Ravens were going to win. I think that they're going to continue their 3-game win streak. It's gearing up to be a high scoring one. I heard you guys talking before I came on about the over under being in the 50s. I think this could be a situation where there might be close to 80 or 90 points scored in this entire game because both defenses are suspect and they're the liability of these franchises right now. We know you guys can score. You guys put a drubbing on Cleveland, and I absolutely enjoyed seeing that final score. And I'm not saying this because you guys had me on your show, but seeing you guys take the will out of Cleveland brought me, it made my stomach nice and warm and fuzzy. And I Bleav that this is going to be a high scoring game again for the Ravens and the Commanders. I personally Bleav that this is going to be a 41-35 game.
Wow. That is a shootout.
And the thing is, I will be upset if we lose. But this might be one of those games where it's not going to kill me the day after. Because at the end of the day, I Bleav that we're going to win. But this might be that 3 in a 14-3 or a 13-4 or a 12-5 kind of season. I have to be a realist, even though I've loved these guys since they got here. I got them tattooed on my body. I showed you guys that earlier. I love this franchise more than anything in the world, and it's Stockholm syndrome because they let me down 24 out of like the last 26 years. So it's like being a Baltimore Orioles fan. But I digress. Yes, I do Bleav we're going to win, but I won't be heartbroken if we lose because this kid number 5 y'all got, he's for real. Jaden Daniels, if Jaden Daniels plays like this from here on out, people are going to be saying that Lamar once was what Jaden Daniels is. And I can live with that. I can live with that because I've had the pleasure of watching the most dynamic dual threat quarterback to ever play this game in Baltimore. Have we won a Super Bowl? No. He promised one on that draft stage that night we drafted him.
Yeah, he did.
So I will hold him to that. I want to see the man get one. He gets one Super Bowl ring that cements his Hall of Fame legacy.
No, absolutely.
He can get that on his own offensive merits alone.
Yeah.
But
for sure,
that ring means a lot to this city for him to get it. But yeah, I think you guys got a legitimate 1-2-3 punch on that offense. I love McLaurin. I think that he's a really good wide receiver. I wanted us to trade for him a couple of years ago when you guys were in the absolute dumps. And I was thinking that Lamar and McLaurin would be like a great connection here. And he wouldn't even really have to like sell his house. He could just commute to work every day. But,
right.
So I like Brian Robinson. You got the quarterback now.
Yeah, we're on our way up.
Once you guys shore up a couple of things on that defensive side of the football, your inside linebackers are playing good football right now. I like watching Wagner. He's got a little bit of that spark back, and he's bounced around between LA and Seattle the last couple of years, but this has given him a nice rejuvenation. I pay attention to you guys. I'm local, so
I like it.
I respect you guys, and it's not a big brother little brother thing. It's more along the lines of, hey, you guys are taking care of the AFC North right now, so I'm enjoying this.
That's true.
Sherm Lewis was the guy who came in. He was hired. He was retired. He was delivering Meals on Wheels. He was calling bingo games, and they brought him in to help Jim Zorn. Of course, that didn't go well.
That's a name right there. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Trev, who you got? What's your prediction?
30-27 Commanders.
30-27 Washington.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with. I think Baltimore is a tough team, and I always try to keep it real. I'm not gonna just always pick my team. So far, I think I'm like 3-2 in my predictions this year. So I'm gonna go with. I think Baltimore's gonna win. I think this is gonna be. We're gonna come back down to earth a little bit. So I'll take Baltimore. And I think the score is going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring game. I think the running game for both sides is going to be working, and so the clock's going to move a little bit. So I'm going to go with 27-26. It's going to be a close game. Washington's going to make a run at the end, but can't quite catch up.
Hey, Trev, he lives near us now, so the purple and black is starting to seep into the soul a little bit.
I know.
All right, Matt, thanks for stopping by here on Ref the District. Matt Trigger from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. Matt, where can we find you kind of on all your socials and such? You
can find me on Facebook at Matt Trigger. I interact with all of our listeners and our fans over there on Bleav in Ravens with Daniel Wilcox. On Instagram, mtrig89, on X, BWATB podcast. And it's been a pleasure. I did want to ask you guys one thing before you let me go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
How does it this is more, I guess, for you, Stoner, than Trev. How does it feel listening to Vinny Serrato on radio every day, knowing that he destroyed your franchise?
Yeah, I don't listen to him. I listen to a podcast from DC, from 106.7, The Fan, of course,
Gotcha.
With the Junks and Grant and Danny and B. Mitch and Finley, all those guys. I have heard them, of course, if driving around. I'll hear Vinny Serrato on 105.7, The Fan, and he just angers me, so I immediately turn it off. I don't like the guy.
Understandable.
He helped ruin our franchise.
It's been a pleasure on this show, fellas. You guys are great.
All right, take care, Matt. And
yep,
and we'll see you down the road. Maybe we'll see you in Arizona in February.
That'd be great. I'd love to run it back. I-95 Classic on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Right. Take care, Matt.
All right, thanks, guys.
Matt. You're welcome.
All right, let me get this reset up while we kind of close this out here a little bit. I want to get everybody's predictions on this game. We've got Trev's. He's got 30-27 Washington. I've got 27-26 Baltimore. I want to hear everybody's predictions. We are out of the survivor pool. We lost this week. We took Seattle in the survivor pool against the Giants, and if not for that crazy blocked kick that the Giants did and ran it back for a touchdown at the end of the game, I still don't understand. I was watching that. I haven't really looked into it, but aren't you not supposed to be able to jump over the line like that? Did you see how he did that? He jumped over
Isaiah
the line.
Did it.
Yeah, I thought you weren't allowed to do that. So
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, so we're out of the survivor pool because we had them and we had the Seahawks, and that's what happened there. So if everybody's getting their predictions in, Trev, let's realistically look at this as everyone's getting their predictions in there. What are you going to feel if Washington loses this game by a close margin? I predicted 27-26 that Baltimore would win. What are you going to what are your feelings going to be if they lose 27-26 to Baltimore?
Wow. Be like, we almost had them.
Yeah.
We played them close. If we played our best game and it happens to come down to Justin Tucker doing his thing, I mean, it is what it is. I just don't want to be blown out. I'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
That means there's lack of effort or something crazy was happening. But if we lose by that, yeah, maybe a moral victory. Like, hey, we hung tough. We weren't favored, but we only lost by 1. We held them to 27 points or whatever. So there'd be a lot of moral victories going on if we lose 27-26.
It's weird how we're moving the goalpost, as they say, right? Because at the beginning of the year, when you looked at the schedule at this point, you didn't think you were going to beat the Browns. You didn't think you're going to beat the Bengals, right? These were two really good teams. And then, of course, the Ravens here. But now you're at 4-1. Now you're seeing what Jaden Daniels can do, and your mindset changes a little bit. So as I've said from the beginning of the year, Trev, I think that that the most important thing that happens in this football season is that Jaden Daniels develops as a quarterback. That's number one. Almost wins and losses don't matter. However, now that this team is 4-1 and leading the division, and the defense is coming on strong, and Jaden Daniels is far surpassing every expectation we had, now my mindset's changing a little bit. And maybe it's no longer it's okay to lose as long as Jaden Daniels is developing. Now I want to see that compete level. This is a measuring stick game. I don't care what the coaches are never going to admit that, right? They're never going to say, yeah, we want to measure up, see how we measure up against good teams, because that's admitting that they're not supposed to be a good team, right? That's admitting that they're not putting a good team out on the field. This is a measuring stick game. Let's not fool ourselves. If you come out of there and you get blown out, right? And you get blown out, let's just say, let me throw a number out there, 30-10. Mm-hmm. Then the doubts are back. The doubts are creeping in, saying maybe we got ahead of our skis. Maybe we'll look at the schedule and we'll say, well, Cleveland's terrible. Arizona's terrible. Cincinnati's terrible. The Giants are terrible. That's who we beat. Mm-hmm. So it does change now at this point if these things happen. Then on the exact opposite end of that, Trev, is if you win 30-10,
then we are here. Yeah, right. We're legit. I'm all in. Let's go.
Right.
We have arrived.
This is 100% a measuring stick game.
Yes.
Don't let anybody try and talk you out of it. It is. Because we are going to judge this team wholeheartedly based on what happens this Sunday against Baltimore.
Because if you want to get to January,
what's happened before,
you got to beat teams like the Ravens on Sunday if you plan on getting into January games.
Right, but we weren't even saying that 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were just hoping that Jaden Daniels would play well.
Yep, and he has so far. Knock on wood.
Yeah, and so the goalposts have changed. They have moved further back or closer, whichever way you want to look at it. And now we got to see how we match up against this organization that Washington is trying to emulate. Josh Harris is trying to emulate this organization. Yep. Jaden Daniels is trying to become a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, maybe not exact style of play, but an MVP caliber quarterback that is going to contend for the playoffs, contend for a Super Bowl every single year, regardless of who his receivers are, regardless of anything else around him. Lamar Jackson gives you that chance, and Jaden Daniels wants to become that. Defensively, we want to be what the Ravens are always known for. Defensively, tough-minded. They play up to the good teams, physical, all that stuff. This is a measuring stick game, and I hope we don't come out of it feeling bad about what just happened. And there's only a couple of ways to do that. You either have to beat them or you have to at least compete with them through 4 quarters.
Yes. I wholeheartedly agree.
All right. So everybody seems to have gotten all their predictions in. I Bleav on our community page, the prediction for who would win. I think the Commanders are at like 86% in the voting. So people are pretty fired up about Washington winning this game. And we're really going to find out a lot about this team come Sunday. After the game on Sunday, Trev, come right here to Ref the District, where we will have a live instant reaction. We're going to talk all about the game, all our thoughts and fears and hopes and dreams are going to come out of us right immediately after the game at about 4:15 or 4:20 p.m., depending on when the game ends. So make sure everybody is there. And we appreciate, man, the comment sections were going wild tonight. We appreciate everybody who's been in here. We've had over 200 folks in here for most of this time. I'm not going to go through everybody, but you guys know who you are, who have been here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. We appreciate everybody. Trev, any last minute words before we get before we head out before Sunday's game?
No, I'm just ready to get to Sunday, baby. Once again, like I said at the beginning of the show, in case anybody missed my news and notes, injury report is going to be a major factor in this game.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of key players on there that did not practice today, but like I said, Thursday and Friday are the ones you really want to pay attention to and take some stock in. But the eye-opening ones and the take notes are the ones that came out today. So we got Eckler on there with the heel. We got B-Rob with his knee. You got Farrell with his knee again. You got Noah Brown with his groin. Percy Butler with his groin. So a lot of key players on that injury report. So just keep an eye out on that.
Interesting additional note. My wife, who can't stand the Commanders, because, and here's why she doesn't like them, because of what they've done to me, and because of every year how I get my hopes up and then my dreams are crushed. She can't stand that the Commanders have done this to me year after year after year. So she hates them. She said if they beat Baltimore on this Sunday, she's in. She's a fan.
Oh, let's go. Oh, we're winning.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Again, thanks for everybody who stopped by tonight, watch the show. We are, of course, live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. And you can always catch us afterwards on audio on Spotify and Apple and all those podcasts. We have that there as well. Again, make sure you hit that like and you hit that subscribe button. We are, of course, a proud member of the Bleav Network. And we are brought to you by Betonline and Don't Sleep Energy. I'm Stoner. That's Trev. And for Nathan also, Trev. Until next time.
Off with the king's head.
Oh, I like that. Off with his head. Be a fan.